Want to look at a question from June paper 2. So this is the first question of this question paper. That is a paper 2 question paper. So our question reads, Bakan Secondary School prefer to give grade 12 learners sandwiches for the last push meal. The school requested Masakani Bakery to provide them with 50 loaves of bread daily. Masakani Bakery is the following recipe for baking a loaf of bread. We are given the recipe for a loaf of bread that we have here. Go through, and then beneath that, it reads, use the information above to answer the question that follow. So on the first part of the question, which is 1.1.1, Masakani Bakery wants to make 50 loaves of bread. Calculate the amount of dried fruit mix they will need in kilograms. So we can just try to see that the question needs us to calculate the amount of dried fruit mix they will need in kilograms. So obviously, the ingredients that we are given here are pertaining to one loaf of bread. But in this case, we have got 50 loaves. So if you look at the dried fruit mix, you would see that dried fruit mix we are given it as 150 grams of fruit mix. So this is what we have in terms of dried fruit mix. So as we are saying, this represents one loaf. So in case of 50 loaves now, we are now saying 50 loaves times 150 grams to get the product that we get there. That is going to be our answer. So going to our answer section, we are saying on 1.1.1, we are basically saying 150 grams. We multiply by 50 loaves. And the answer that you are supposed to get will be in grams, which is 7,500 grams. So this is what we have, a representation of 50 loaves. So, but if you refer back to the question, you see that the question is saying, if you try to go to our question is saying, calculate the amount of dried fruit mix they will need in kilograms. So we have to express them in kilograms. But if you go to our answer is in grams. So remember, one 1 kg, which is 1 kilogram, is equals to 1,000 grams. So to express our 7,500 grams are now to kgs, we have to divide by 1,000. So basically, we are saying 7,500 divided by 1,000. And we are going to get your final answer is 7.5 kilograms. So this becomes your final answer. So we go to the next part of our question, which reads, a newly appointed employee at Masakani commented that 0.25 kg of yeast will not be enough to bake 50 loaves of bread, whether this comment is valid. So obviously, we need to see to verify if 0.25 kg of yeast will be enough to bake 50 loaves. So we go to the information that we have here, where we put the information for one loaf, whereby we can see that the yeast that we are given is 7.5 grams. So one loaf is 7.5 grams, and we want to see how many loaves should we get from 0.25 from 0.25 kgs. Then we can see whether the loaves are up to 50 loaves. So we say 0.25 divided by 7.5. So we just go there and present it as such, whereby we are saying this is now 1.1.2. But we are saying 0.25, this is 0.25 kgs, and then we divide by, you refer back there, so that we divide by the 7.5 grams of yeast representing one loaf. So if you come here, you would see that we've got 7.5 grams. But if you check in terms of our numerator, it's expressed in kgs. We have to convert it to to grams. So to convert it to grams, we are going to say 0.25, then we multiply by 1000. Remember, 1000 grams, 0.25 kg times 1000 grams. Remember, 1000 grams is close to 1 kg. So if you express kgs to grams, you multiply by 1000. So if you multiply there, you see that the answer that we're going to get will be 250 grams. So if you come here, you'll see that it becomes 250 grams divided by 0.5 grams. So if we simplify it further, 0.5 into 250, you are going to get your answer is 33 and 333. And this is going to be the number of loaves. We can round it up because there is a fraction there. So it becomes 34 loaves. So going back to our question, you see that what we are verifying, we want to see the question actually says a newly appointed employee at Masakari commented that 0.25 kg of this will not be enough to bake 50 loaves, which is correct because 0.25 can only bake 34 loaves. So in conclusion, we are saying yes, the comment is valid. So basically, that's what we in conclusion. Then we move on to the next part of our question, which is now going to be our question 1.2, which says Masakan Bakery is spending 400 rands on electricity and water weekly. The cost of baking one loaf of bread is 350, which includes labor and ingredients. A loaf of bread is sold at 6 rand. The table below shows the weekly cost of baking loaves of bread. So we see that for weekly cost of baking loaves of bread, at zero number of loaves being baked, we still pay 400 rands as cost, representing the fixed cost of electricity and water. Remember, the fixed costs do not vary with the level of units. So we are having the fixed costs, and this 400 is going to be inside each and every uh, total costs. So that's what we have. We go to the second part. We've got table 2, weekly income from selling loaves of bread. We have got the number of loaves, total income, but we're seeing that for weekly income, we have 0. At 0 loaves, there is no income. We take note of that. And then going forward, we can see that the first question is saying determine the value of A and B. So we have got A and B. So obviously, we are being told that the each loaf each loaf has a cost of 350. So it means you're going to multiply 350 by the number of loaves, which is in this case we've got 120. Then the product that we get, we add to the fixed cost that is in each and every column, which is 400 rands. The fixed cost, remember, 400 rand applies to each and every number of loaves. So we've got our other section. We can just try to express it in such a way that we say this is going to be 1.2.1, whereby we are calculating A. Remember, we are saying A is equals to 400, which is the fixed, 400, which is the fixed, plus 350 times number of loads. So we are saying plus 350 times n, which is going to be the number of loaves. So in this case, you can see that the number of loaves that we have, we are given it as 120. So we can just substitute there, and it becomes plus 350, 350 times number of loaves. I remember we put 120. So we multiply by 120. So we calculate it like that. I will see that it becomes equal to 400 rand plus, if you say 350 times 120, you are going to get your answer is 420 rands. So obviously, if you add the two, the product, sorry, the total that you're supposed to get becomes 820 rand. So this is our final answer. So this is what we have in terms of our A. Then we try to see in terms of B. So on B, we are saying we are here. We are calculating our B. For our B, we are only given a loaf of bread is sold at 6 rand. So to get the total income, we're going to say the price per loaf times the number of loaves. For instance, at 40, we are saying 40 times 6, you get 240. If we come here, say 120 times 6, you're going to get 720. The same applies to B. If you say 6 times B, you get 960. So here we want the number of loaves. So basically what we are saying is, if you come to answer section, we are saying for B, we are saying we can just refer back. B times 6 rand, 6 rand times B. The answer that you get there will be equal to 960. So basically, this is what we have. In other words, we are just saying 6 rand B is equals to 960. So in this case, we can, to find B, we divide by 6 both sides, whereby B becomes, say, 6 into 960. The answer that we are supposed to get is 160 loaves. So this is our, so we can just take note in terms of our B. Then we move on to the next part of our question, which is saying, write down the formula for calculating the cost of baking loaves of bread in the form cost of rand equal to, remember we've already put it down in terms of this part, whereby we said 400 times 350 times n. So this is the formula that we are just referring to. So this is the formula. So we are just going to express it in that case. We say this is our 1.2.2. So we are saying it is equal to, we've got 400 rands, 400 rand being the fixed, the fixed curve that is applying at 0 number of loaves, 400. And then we add brackets. Remember, we are given the per loaf of bread cost 350. Then we multiply by the number of loaves. So basically, this is the formula that we have. Then I will go to the next part. Use the formula in question 1.2.2 to calculate the cost of baking 50 loaves of bread. So we've done 50 loaves of bread. We are now just substituting 50 here. We just put 50 here, and then it becomes 350 times 50. Then we calculate to find the figure. So we can just come here. We say this is our 1.2.3, whereby we are saying the cost is equal to, we still have 400 rands. We add in brackets, we are saying 350 times number of loaves, of which in this case we're given it is 50 loaves. So we multiply by 50. So we try to calculate it to see what do we get. And you see that the answer that we are supposed to get, we can try to use our calculators and see what do we get there. So it's if you multiply 350 times, you can start by saying 350 times 50 and see what you get. And after getting that, you add 400. we're going to get it as 575. So we have 575, which is total cost for 50 loaves. So that's what we have on that part. And then we can move on to the next part, which is reads, calculate the profit if 200 loaves of bread were sold. If 200 loaves of bread were sold, so we need to say the income. Remember, to get the income, this is now 1.6 according to our numbering here. And then we are going to say, to get the total income, we say here we say 6 rand times the number of loaves. So basically we are saying the number of loaves that we are given is 200. So we are saying 6 rand times 200, and you get the total income. The income that is for 200 loaves. And then we subtract the costs, of which the cost we are saying for 200 loaves, we are saying it's 400. Times of loaves, we've got 200 times 200. So we do that in that way. We see that the answer that we are supposed to get there, if you say 200 times 6 loaves, you're going to get 1,200. You subtract, if you say 400 times, in brackets, 350 times 200, the answer that we are supposed to get is 1,100. And then you see that the profit that you're supposed to get now, the new one becomes the profit, it is equal to 100 rand. So this is the profit. So that's what we have on that part. And then we can move on to the next question, which says if the manager of Masekani Bakery claims that if they bake 200 loaves and sell all of them, the baker will make a profit of more than 10% of the costs for baking the 200 loaves. So obviously the profit, we've got 100, and we say we want to see the percentage of the profit of the costs, and we see if it will be more than 10%. So we can say 100, which is our profit. So basically on our calculation, what we are supposed to do, this is now our 1.2.7. We are supposed to say profit over the cost, then multiplied by 100 over 1 according to our information, of which our profit, we got it as 100, divided by the costs. The cost, remember, we got it as 1,200, 1,100, and then multiplied by 100 over 1. So we try to calculate it that way. We see that calculate it that way, the answer that we are supposed to get is 9.09%. So basically that's what we have, 9.09%. So to our question saying they want to see that they claim that if they bake 200 loaves and sell all of them, the baker will make a profit of more than 10%. We see that this is not more than 10%, but it's less than 10%. So what is our conclusion? We say now thus the claim is invalid. So basically, this is what we have, and this becomes the last part of our question. Thank you for listening, and let's meet again in the next video.